Hello and welcome to Lights,
Camera,
and Conversation. My name is Walid Shaya.
I'm Kavita Raj.
And we're so excited to be back this Tuesday with a brand new episode all about Beyonce.
Oh, Beyonce.
Yes, cheers to the Beehive and our queen Beyonce.
Yes, goddess.
So we were very fortunate to both have seen the Renaissance World Tour.
Yep.
When she was in LA on her birthday of September 4th last month.
That was something else.
And it was epic, right?
It was life-changing.
Yes, and we're going to talk all about it, not just because we feel this way, but we want to share with you the history of Beyonce, the business endeavors and tribulations she went through, and what led to such a massive entertainment Hollywood peak for her.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to see the show before that, which was Formation. And this was just equally, if not even greater. She just keeps evolving with each time.
And it's incredible. The reviews have been, 5-star plus 5 diamonds, if you will. And we're going to dive into that this episode. So stay tuned. Lots of Beyonce talk and business talk.
Yes.
But before that, Kavita, let's update everyone on what's been going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
How have you been and what have you been up to lately? It's been a while since we checked in.
Yeah, it has been a while. It's been a wonderful month. A lot of travel and work.
How do you work while you're away remotely? Do you always set up shop and bring your laptop, or what's it like for you?
I do have my laptop. I have, my phone. I actually get a lot of my communication is done via phone, so I'm like always able, nonstop, 24/7, to reach out to people as needed. Because I'm a momager, like the mom part of my life work does not stop.
Right.
So taking care of the family comes first.
Absolutely.
So whether it is feeding the family, whether it is errands, whether it is just everyday things that we all need to do, that is also there. So I kind of time myself, space myself. I generally tend to work, during work hours, but the music business, it's really 24/7, and it can be like all hours of the day because you're working with international collaborators, you're working with partners overseas, so your work could be just like
different
any time
zones.
Absolutely.
Their mornings, your evening.
Absolutely. And in the endeavor and journey to support the girls, we're working late night and early morning.
Yes.
So I do set up shop. I take my laptop as well with me, and I'm super connected.
Yeah, that's, nonstop, but it's a labor of love as well as a labor of business, and passion.
Yes.
And I could see that in your work and what the girls have been up to the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So exciting for both of them with new music and new opportunities. And I hope all of you listening will check out both Ria and Laura Raj. They're so talented. And I love the family so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
And how was your week? How did you spend this week?
Yes, I just wrapped the short film Darn It, Darla.
Oh.
Yes, you may have heard I did it as a live stage show last August in Los Angeles at the Brisk Festival.
Yep.
We had a great time doing it live on stage. It was a nice setup for the cast to experience the characters and stage the show, and for us to get feedback in terms of what the audience finds funny and what works and what we might want to improve before we go into filming it. And something special about filming it is we get to reach a wider audience now. So those of you listening, if you didn't get to catch the show last August, you'll get to see it on screen. So it was a weekend of filming. I directed the short, and I'm also in it. So we've had this time to really work together and take it to a new medium. So it's really fun, and it was a different experience doing it for the camera than doing it for a live audience.
Okay, and may I ask how many people are in the cast and crew?
Yes, so there's about 4 people in the cast. And about 6 people in the crew.
Okay.
So it's very tight-knit. We call this a skeleton crew.
Okay.
And it's about an actress named Naveen who wants better roles for women in Hollywood, including herself. And I play her menacing, evil manager who wants to set her up to basically have a fallout and spiral so she can get press, because all press is good press, even bad press,
so
and she
funny.
could
That's so
reignite her
crazy.
career. So it's a very interesting story of two sides playing a dangerous game, kind of like The Idol per se, but its own version of it. And there's a lot of actors that have dealt with similar things, with conservatorships, with bad business. Even Beyonce, who split from her father managing her back in the day. And we're going to talk about that today. I think that's a nice segue into Beyonce. What do you think?
Oh my God, the queen.
Yes,
we can talk
cheers.
about her all day. So this episode's going to be 8 hours long.
Oh my goodness, right?
Kidding.
We'll try to keep it tight into the facts. How about we start with some of the history, the trajectory. So our listeners and viewers, hey, if you're catching us on YouTube, and hello if you're catching us on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else you get your podcasts, but so they can get the lowdown. How does that sound?
And while you're there, please subscribe.
Yes, of course. Subscribe, leave us comments, and engage with us.
The love and support is so much appreciated.
We love it, and we love you guys. So, you know, it started off back in 1993 when Beyonce competed with a girl group that was at the time called Girls Time, time spelled Tyme, and they performed for Star Search.
How 90s.
And she got rejected. She did not make it on Star Search, okay? It wasn't till 3 years later in 1996 when she got her first contract with Sony Music, okay? It was Destiny's Child, and they finally sealed the deal. The girls were paid $85,000 to record their first album and release it in 6 months. They did it, and it was a hit, okay? It was a hit. Destiny's Child, you know, was huge. Now, there was a time after the first album when there was tensions between LaToya and Latavia. So the two girls couldn't really stand Matthew anymore, and so they decided to leave the group. At that time, it was a very hard transition for Beyonce. She apparently had depression, and she was really upset. And, you know, this girl group, such ups and downs, if you can imagine, from the not-so-successful Star Search to the launch of the first album, and now these members are leaving, and were replaced by Michelle and Kelly. All right, and that was a big hit. All right, so that did very well. It wasn't until her first solo album came out in 2002, all right, that she went on solo, and she released Crazy in Love and Baby Boy, and they both peaked at #1, as you know.
I'm just got goosebumps.
Goosebumps, they're great songs.
Hair raising.
2007, she had her first world tour with the Beyonce Experience, which was amazing. Single Ladies dropped in 2008. And it was around then, by 2010, when I Am Sasha Fierce came out and the I Am World Tour, that's when Beyonce herself decided to split from working with Matthew, her father. Okay? So that was in 2010.
2010. Okay.
2010, yeah. So, you know, this all started in 1993. And then in 2010, I Am World Tour, she splits from her father. Now she's, you know, solo. She has different representatives, obviously. In 2011, the music industry, as you know, is very EDM and, you know, pop-centric. It's still similar in that fashion. We're heading in that trend. But she decided to release an R&B album for was her least successful album at the time. But from an artist's point of view, it's still one of her most riskiest projects. And did set her apart during those trends. 2 years and 4 months afterwards, she did Obama's inauguration. And then after that, she sang for the Super Bowl. And she sang fully live. It was electrifying. And I believe it's still the most talked about in Twitter history, now known as X, with 220,000 tweets per minute. And it gathered 110 million views live at the time.
Insane.
So iconic.
Yeah.
December 2013, she did her fifth album, Beyonce. It was incredible. In under 12 hours, it became one of the most talked about musical events in 2013. Yes, and in the week, the album sold over 1 million copies worldwide. In 3 weeks, it became the best-selling album by a female artist in 2013. Lemonade came to follow. That was with poetry. That was about her relationship told through 12 songs, each in a different genre, right?
Such an artistic visual.
So artistic. And you had the film adaptation that came out. Then we had the Formation World Tour, which you saw, right?
Which I saw.
What was that like? Let's just talk about that for a moment.
The Formation. Thank you, first of all, for that incredible rundown.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're a super fan.
I love her so much.
You're an incredible fan. I love her too. But these details are like awesome to kind of refresh our memories
Yeah, for
as
sure.
to how just statistically iconic she is. The Formation World Tour made me feel like she was superhuman. She was just at her physical greatest ability. She was so precise in her movement, in her sound, so beautiful in the aura and the energy. The backup dancers were incredibly supportive, and we came out of it just feeling like there was none other before ever. Like it was just something that we had never seen. This kind of physical energy
Right.
and capability blew us away. So I came out of that concert feeling like it was incredible.
And that's how we felt when we saw also Renaissance.
Yep,
And I think
yep.
the idea is, which we'll zoom in on more as we get into Renaissance shortly,
Yep.
is how she's constantly elevating.
Yep.
She's raising the bar.
Yes, that's right.
And
Love
it's
the
not
word.
just, she's doing the same thing or the same song. She's finding a new way to do it, finding ways for her to improve her skills and range and her presentation, whether it's the props and costumes she uses, the technology, the medium of camera work and sound work and engineering and set building. So we're going to get into that. But it sounds like every time she's been live, she's elevated.
She's elevating. And in 2016, when we saw Formation, we thought the visuals then were mind-bending, right? And they were perfect for the technology then.
Right.
She used the maximum one can with like the digital backdrops that she had, the lights, the sound, literally the formation of the dancers, the backup singers, the band. It was such an experience, so immersive. You just got like lost in that universe. And then after seeing that years later, now watching Renaissance, you're like, she just grows as a human, as an artist. It's almost as if she has these like everyday meetings or gatherings where she is talking about her vision, and people make that come to life.
And she does.
And she
does.
just like has this creative vision, and she has this incredible team around her that brings this to life, and that's to be commended. It's the
Right.
whole crew. It takes like a
Hundreds
village.
of people,
Yeah,
I'm sure, to pull off such an extravagant production.
exactly.
So following that show in 2017, she did Beychella, right? She was at Coachella, and it was epic. It was 2-weekender. Each weekend was different, and it's, I believe, on Netflix still to stream.
Yep.
Incredible, everything.
Yep.
And that was, the talk of the town. Later that year, in 2018, she went with Jay-Z for On the Run 2. Now, I got to see that show in New York, which was very exciting. And going into Renaissance, I was curious how On the Run 2 would be different. Obviously, Jay-Z is not in Renaissance, and that's the main difference. On the Run 2 was a collab, like a Bonnie and Clyde for Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Gotcha.
But, I was curious to also see how the image is elevated, and the tech and the sets and the fact that everything looked like a whole different concert was so noteworthy and made you really feel like a new experience.
You're talking about between Jay-Z's and
Between On the Run 2 and Renaissance.
right.
Yeah, she really did a good job to make it her own. And so here we are now at Renaissance.
Yeah.
Renaissance has been, trending like crazy. It's been a new era of disco music coming back, bringing disco back. And of course, giving a platform for queer artists, which is very exciting through the music, through the dance, through the costuming, really in all elements, really making it an inclusive community. And that's where we are with Renaissance. The tour has been economy boosting.
Yep.
We've mentioned on previous episodes the work that her and Taylor Swift
have done this summer.
Correct.
For our economy.
For our economy.
Yep.
And she is topping right now as one of the most successful is the most successful female artist, actually, of our time right now. Her tour has grossed a ridiculous amount, and the reason is because it is so fantastic. It's not just a commercial hype.
Yeah.
There is so much heart and passion and art in it.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to point out in the difference between 2016 and 2023 is also just the person that is Beyonce. Like I mentioned before, I came out of the Formation tour thinking she was superhuman. also for her physical ability and the amount she did. I was just like, the non-stop energy and the movement was just something that, blew my mind. The 2023 concert, I came out of it feeling like she was just goddess-like. The kind of chants that people were doing in this stadium that was packed from end to end was just something that, that kind of human collaboration to come and celebrate you, your
Right.
artistry, and support you in every city that she's performing at multiple times a week is really a feat. It's an accomplishment that is
She got everybody to do
beyond
that. She
something
got
else.
everyone to
And-
show up.
yeah.
A multitude of thousands. I think there were 60,000 people that attended her birthday concert.
And so many
including us.
celebrities, because it was Los
Right.
Angeles. We saw everyone there.
Oh,
the
let's
who's
list who was there, because
yeah.
that was fun. We saw the Kardashians.
I was just standing getting a glass of wine, and Jennifer Hudson just walked past
my
me
gosh.
to my right.
I
and
love
she was just
Jennifer
like,
Hudson. J. Hud, the Kardashians,
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos,
Yeah.
Timothy Chalamet,
Yep.
Lizzo. The list goes on.
Yeah.
Katy Perry was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really a star-studded night. There was a joke that there were more stars there than at the Met Gala.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
sure there were. It was like, it's LA, so it was so great. But I came out of it like, I want to say spiritually lifted.
Correct.
I want to say personally transformed. I felt empowered. She kept making the audience chant that we were hustlers. And I just felt like, yes, I am. She's right. She's reminding me that I am. Because she is. She's proving by example. She's a living example of hard work, of struggle, of
Yes.
overcoming,
Yes.
of being a light, and yet maintaining her ground, maintaining her aura, maintaining her stability, right? Such an example. She has gone through a lot, endured, right? The test
Yes.
of time. And here she is,
Tribulations.
always growing, always elevating, always shining. And someone that, when she says that this is how you should feel because, you're worthy of that, I'm like, yes, that is how I should
Right.
feel. I'm like tearing up thinking about it because she made me feel like so.
I
Yeah.
do want to talk about technically what
Yeah.
makes someone so special. We reviewed her history, right? So you see, since 1993 to now, it's taken a lot of time to do this, okay? Nearly 20 years, right? So what does make it special when we go to break it down? And for me, I think it's being well rehearsed, but not looking well rehearsed. Looking like you have a sense of ease and like it's coming to you naturally, right?
Yeah, and the incredible team that she has built around herself, the intellect to know that this is what I want to showcase, and these are the people that can bring that to life. I want to take a moment to talk about the fact that she herself has said that she is a little bit where she is, not a little bit, quite a bit where she is because of her upbringing, her family, her parents.
Yes.
My daughter, Ria, had the good experience of meeting her father along with my husband, Ria's dad, at a pre-college talk by Matthew Knowles on the music business. It was like a wonderful conversation with him, a workshop where he discussed the whole journey with Beyoncé and his experience as a dad as she was an emerging artist. As parents, that was a really precious experience to have. That was so valuable because you got to learn from him firsthand, meet him, have a conversation in a small group, how that whole journey was. And she herself has said that despite their business differences, despite the fact that, sometimes you do grow as a child and there comes a point when you do have to, as a young adult, move forward, make your own life decisions, and your parents are forever going to be your supporters, your parent, your business manager if need be. However, there comes a point when you are really needing to chart this journey as an adult on your own terms. And whatever the difference is, she always credits her parents with a fantastic upbringing, work ethic, and being exemplary in that they did that. And
Yes.
I am so amazed at that kind of a background and she has just carried that, forward, and of course, carried on that legacy, and then made it like her own and
Yes.
made it fabulous.
Yes, and speaking of legacy, at the birthday spectacular
Yes,
that we
oh my
got
God,
to attend,
yes.
Diana Ross was a special guest. And as you know, she came on stage to wish Beyonce and help us sing happy birthday to Beyonce.
Yep.
And Beyonce came from behind her, as you saw, and surprised her with a hug. And it was a passing of the torch,
Yes, yeah.
And that was such a beautiful, iconic moment.
It was such a beautiful moment to see, people that we've grown up loving and admiring and coming together. Such a great night for representation, such a great night for feeling like you are not limited by the definitions of culture and society. You have it in you to be able to break those barriers, boundaries, and ceilings and move things forward. I was just so inspired and enamored.
Yes, in her own words, you're an alien superstar,
Yep.
and you won't break my soul,
Yeah, oh my
right?
God, yes.
So I thought it was so cool how she had so many different outfits and costumes,
Yeah.
and so many designers, including a Lebanese designer,
Yeah.
which I was so excited about
Yes.
being Lebanese, have made a bunch of her outfits and her dancers,
Yep.
and it's so fun to keep up with the concert as it tours, because you're seeing new visuals and you're actually seeing something new when she comes to your city,
Yep.
because she's putting in that much more effort. I think it was claimed that she officially, as of last month, had 100 outfits, right?
Oh my God.
And there was a comment from Brian. He said she should make a coffee table book
Uh-huh.
with her 100 outfits
Oh my
from
God.
Renaissance,
Yes.
because all the outfits even are, iconic.
Yeah.
Beautiful, and they're a work of art in themselves.
Yep.
So I thought that was really cool. Did you
Yeah.
like the outfits and the fashion?
I love the outfits, and I have to admire her daughter. How
Blue
beautiful
Ivy.
was Blue Ivy. Her outfit that night, the shimmering silver jacket and pants. She's so stylish. She is really like just a
And her
kind
mom
of
is so proud of
a
her.
reflection of her mom and dad.
Let's talk
She
about
looks
Blue
exactly
Ivy.
she looks like a perfect blend of the two of them.
Well, did you know that this tour, just this show, with Blue Ivy's money in her Roth account, and the Roth account is what children have to open till they turn 18 to manage their money
Correct.
working in the business.
Yes.
And so Blue Ivy's is supposed to make her a couple million by the time she's 18.
I love it.
Just from this tour.
This is
her
so great.
parents are setting her up for success, which is what your parents do for you, right?
And you know what? At the end of the day, she worked for it.
She did work for
She
it, and
worked for
she's-
it. And she
and
did
she
a
wants to work.
fabulous job on stage.
What I loved too, because Blue Ivy is a child, I think she's like 13 maybe.
Okay.
She's covered, and Beyonce's not trying to sexualize her daughter.
yeah.
And I thought that was very humbling and appropriate. And every concert I've seen Blue Ivy in, she's been covered down to her, hands, full pants. And I'm not saying that Blue Ivy or kids shouldn't wear t-shirts or tank tops or express themselves as they wish.
Of course.
But what I am saying is that Beyonce's thought about that, and she's protecting her daughter
Yeah.
and presenting her daughter in the most modest way and still in the most professional and fun way.
Yeah.
And her daughter, like you said, looks great. So I wanted to touch on that because I think it's so important.
Yeah, no, she was exemplary for using her platform and her opportunity to shine a light on the family. I mean, everyone's a superstar in the family, but then, you are Beyonce, like a queen, in the pop world. So for you to be able to bring out your child and have them have this opportunity, but then work for it and earn it and be so respected and loved is really a moment. Clearly, she's learned from her mom and her dad as far
Yes.
as work ethic is concerned.
Right. Speaking of her dad, she gave a shout out and thank you to her husband with
Yes.
her birthday speech and her
Yes.
parents and to, all her friends and close ones. But there was no feature of Jay-Z, even in Crazy in
Oh,
Love.
yeah.
It went right over his rap and straight into hers. And that makes sense. Again, this is not On the Run or On the Run 2.
Right.
This is Renaissance with Beyonce, all about
Sure.
Beyonce.
Yes.
Nonetheless, you mentioned the word family and I thought enterprise because she really does share the pie and the cake with everybody, right? Beyond that, when I saw the show in New York, she had, I believe, 3 or 4 of her background singers do their own number.
Yes,
and
I
they
saw
came
that.
out and they were like the Supremes, kind of like the new Supremes, because the birthday show in LA was long with guest appearances like Kendrick Lamar, who also came out, and the birthday stunts that happened. I believe they cut that number with the background singers,
I see.
or the Supremes, the new Supremes, whatever you want to call her girl group. But what I loved about it in New York is that that's another enterprise of the Beyonce Jay-Z business and label, right? So she has her daughter. She has these 4 new Supremes. She has the twins, those 2 guys that are her dancers, known as the twins. So, you know, and then beyond that, you know, she has her brands, from her perfume line to everything else she works on. But ultimately, it was so cool to see how she's bringing everyone together under one roof and all in one show.
Yeah, the power of collaboration and the power of bringing this amount of talent and being able to give them a platform and give them an opportunity to shine and sharing the stage with everyone.
And she shared. She's so humble, and she definitely shared the stage.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the tech elements,
Oh,
specifically about the camera work, okay?
Yeah.
She used the cameras, as you probably noticed, as if it was like a live show or an awards show.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a live show, but in the fact that she looked into the camera and she performed for the camera
as well,
in addition to for the crowd.
Yeah.
So whether you were close or not, there was a camera crew following her who had to know her movements and choreography and were always running 10 steps ahead of her to capture those moments. And the way she'd look into the camera, or on one of her songs when she sings Money Honeys to the right, she grabs the camera and swings it to the right. And she used it almost as a character in itself, as an element to really connect with us. When she'd look into it and we'd see her eyes looking at us on screen, it felt like a different medium than 2 cameras, one on a crane and one close-up, just picking up A/B shots. It felt so much more sophisticated. Plus drones, and when she's dancing in a group and she reaches up to the sky and a drone shot from up above as they look up captures them. I mean, the intricacy of the camera work, the movement, the flow, the visuals, the taped segments was incredible.
And keeping up with the trends, right? So like vertical iPhone-like videos are like so trendy for visualizers, for artists now. So she's kind of keeping up with that as well. And she has those moments where she grabs the camera and feels like a selfie video.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she is like walking around with it and she's singing to it, and she's kind of like at all natural angles. So she's kind of very relaxed about it, but she's enjoying that moment, and like anyone with a selfie video camera. So she's also catering to the trend now on social platforms on how videos are taken. So she is doing that as well, and looking just so organic.
That's
through it all, right?
Sense of ease, just very natural. It doesn't feel like she's pushing or trying too hard. Again,
that is the mastery.
That's the mastery. That's a master of their trade, you know. With a sense of ease, professionalism, rehearsed, but throws the work out the window and just exists in the moment and presents. And that's what she did.
And I love the fact that you said, because we all know that, I know that she's a Virgo. We all know she's a Virgo, and Virgos are kind of known for their perfectionism. And I can imagine that she is quite, if you go by Virgo definitions, can be quite nitpicky and quite organized.
So with that said, having seen the show, what do you think could be next for Beyonce?
What she is going to do from here, only Beyonce knows in her head. I am sure the wheels are churning and turning, and she probably already has incredible ideas.
It's been rumored that she's shopping around the visual album, and that it might go to Netflix, it might go to HBO. I mean, who knows? So we're going to get a visual album that's different than a recording of the live concert, okay? And then there's supposed to also be a recording of the live concert. So there's a lot to come still from Renaissance itself. I did love that, even though it was nearly 3 hours, at the end I was like, it's not long enough, I need more. Right? She couldn't get through her whole discography. But what I did respect, even though she didn't do all her songs, she layered a lot of the sounds and hooks and choruses of some of her biggest hits under some of her new music. And it was just really nice to remember, she does have that in her catalog as well.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't get to hear everything, we did get samples of a lot of works as well. And she did that in right under 3 hours. So impressive.
We'd
The
have to be there
stamina.
for like 8 hours if we wanted to
stamina.
like play every song of hers that we all love
Sign
over the
me
years.
up.
But it was iconic. It was so inspiring.
Yes.
And cheers to pop culture, pop music, and like you need some more wine.
Yes, I do.
And just the amazing, divine artist that is Beyonce.
Yes.
Yeah,
what's up?
in context of that, my husband was lucky enough to go see 2 Taylor Swift concerts this summer, and he said that the crowd was the same. It was packed in an arena, in the largest arena possible in each city. It was packed from end to end, and the fans were singing along to every song. So 2 different artists, but 2 similar in their reach and their ability to touch people's lives.
Yes, and we love that.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed today's segment. Go ahead and listen to the Renaissance album.
Yes.
And you will experience it yourself if you haven't yet. With that said, my name is Walid Shaya.
I'm Kavita Raj.
And this is Lights,
Camera,
and Conversation. See you next week.
See you next week. Cheers, bestie.
Hey, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow on Instagram and TikTok. We love interacting. Also, the content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, which we love, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from Lights, Camera, Conversation or our individual authors, hosts, or guests. Nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. We always encourage you to do your research. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by Lights, Camera, Conversation. The views expressed by speakers are their own, and their appearance on our program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great day.